Well, some very big stories happening over the past couple of days that caught not only my attention, but it caught Dr. John Lott's attention as well. He is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. And, Doctor, first of all, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here. I want to start with Senator Joe Manchin, who has become the most powerful man in Washington by some estimates, as he continues to reject the far left with its list of liberal Democrat ideas. First, he said no to dumping the filibuster. Then it was no to packing the United States Supreme Court. And now, another blow to the left. He says he will not support the so-called For the People Act that would federalize election in all 50 states. This is a big deal because Joe Manchin is basically shooting down one far-left idea after another. It has AOC and the squad incensed. Joe Biden called him out by name. He really is becoming an important blocker to protect our country, I think. Your thoughts?
Right. Well, I mean, he's also given Biden many of the things he wanted. He's voted for all but one of his nominees to different positions, and will have a big, far-reaching effect. But I agree with the fact that I'm glad that he's not done in the filibuster, and I'm glad he hasn't gone along with this change in the voting rules, because they would be very radical. They would effectively ban the use of voter IDs in the country, overturning a number of state laws that are there. And it would make other changes, kind of making mail-in ballots kind of permanent in this country, and would create a lot of vote fraud.
Yeah, and not only mail-in ballots, John, but it would mean mail-in ballots would have to be accepted after Election Day. It would register people as young as 16 to vote. Why would you register people to vote that aren't eligible to vote unless it makes no sense. And the voter ID, you and I have talked about this a number of times, including here on this program. The United States is one of the only countries in the world that doesn't require voter ID. I mean, it's pretty common sense stuff. You have an ID, you prove who you are, you cast your ballot. But they would like to get rid of that. It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, I mean, look, out of 47 countries in Europe, 46 currently require that you have to have a government-issued photo ID to vote. The one remaining one has been the United Kingdom, but they themselves are moving within the next couple months. They're going to adopt similar rules too. So pretty soon, all 47 countries in Europe are going to require government-issued photo IDs to vote. And you look at developed countries around the world, that's the norm. Canada and Mexico both require government-issued photo IDs. And Mexico even requires a fingerprint that you have to have in order to go and vote. So, and the thing is, these countries have learned the hard way about fraud. They've seen fraud. They know how difficult it is to catch fraud and to prosecute it, and that people get away with it. And so they've been forced to go over time and adopt things like photo ID or banning things like absentee ballots. The United States has much laxer rules in many dimensions in terms of trying to prevent vote fraud than other countries do.
Yeah. But on the topic of Joe Manchin, because before we leave this, I want to, the fact that he is not allowing a change to the filibuster at this point, I mean, that basically stops a whole laundry list of bad ideas from going through. Packing the Supreme Court, a terrible idea. And this federalization of elections, another terrible idea. Yes, he's voted for nominees, and he's voted for every single bill that's come to the floor put forth by Joe Biden, 100% of them. But it's these bills that don't make it to the floor at all, the three things I just mentioned, that will not even come to the Senate because Joe Manchin says, don't bother. That's kind of important.
No, I agree. Look, keeping the filibuster, we've had filibuster in the U.S. Senate since the early 1800s. It's been an important part there. It's, I think, fits in with the framers' desire to make things have to go relatively slowly through Congress, and it requires bipartisan support. I think all those are positive things, and he should be commended sticking to that, because I'm sure he's facing huge pressure from within his party to cave on that.
Oh, I'm sure his email is colorful, to say the least. I want to shift to another big story, this one out of California. I know you saw this one where a federal district judge shot down that state's 32-year ban on so-called assault weapons. Now, he put a stay on it for 30 days, giving the Attorney General in California a chance to respond. But he said it's unconstitutional. because these AR-15s are common weapons for both sporting and self-defense. And he said it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of firearms, which got a lot of response. But this is a big ruling. I don't know if the AG in California can make a difference when he weighs in. What are your thoughts?
Right. Well, I should say up front, I was an expert in that case. I was the statistical expert for the plaintiffs who were challenging the assault weapons ban. And just one other minor note there. You notice the 30-day stay. That stay ends on July 4th. I don't think it was by accident that he picked it so that the law, him striking it down would go into effect on July 4th. That said, look, this is the Ninth Circuit. It's a very liberal circuit. You have this one lower court judge who ruled in what I would regard the right way. And one other thing I should say is the main part of his ruling dealt with the impact that the assault weapons ban would have on mass public shootings or crime. He pointed out that there was no evidence at all provided by the state of California that this would reduce or has reduced murder or other violent crimes. And with regard to mass public shootings, he was extremely critical of the experts on the other side, saying that they had misrepresented the existing research. And it was really striking how tough he was on the honesty of the experts for the state of California. But look, it's going to be appealed. You're going to get the Ninth Circuit's going to put a stay on it. And then they're going to hear it. And whether it's the 3-judge panel or en banc, I'm pretty sure you're going to get the same type of decision out of the Ninth Circuit that you've seen in other gun cases out of the Ninth Circuit. So the issue would then be whether the Supreme Court will take it up and get back to what this lower court judge Benitez, who, by the way, he was born in Cuba. So I think he has some strong feelings about kind of the history of government regulations on guns.
So the practical effect then out of all of this then, will there be any changes? On July the 5th in California, will people be able to buy AR-15s at the local gun store, or is that not really going to happen?
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I'd like something like that to happen simply to provide evidence for all the hysterical claims that are being made. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the news articles over the last couple days in California, but you have really hysterical headlines saying, it's going to be a disaster. There's going to be mass deaths that are going to be occurring in California. As the judge pointed out himself, the assault weapons ban, there's no evidence that it reduced mass public shootings or murder or any other type of crime in California. So, why the media so uncritically just repeats the hysterical claims isn't obvious to me.
So you expect the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals then, even though it's more conservative than it was a few years ago, to push back against this federal judge and say, no, the ban can stay in place? That's your guess.
That's exactly right. Look, Trump made some difference in the court, but it just shows you how out of balance the court was. That, even though he's appointed a number of good judges to the court, that it's still dominated by liberals. And even recently, they've made some really amazing anti-gun decisions. There was one case out of Hawaii where the court said there was no right to people having guns outside the home, that the only thing that the Second Amendment did was protect people's ability to go and own guns within their home.
Makes no sense at all to me. Dr. John Lott, greatly appreciate it. President of the Crime Prevention Research Center. Always a pleasure to have his voice heard here. Sir, thank you for being here. We'll keep an eye on this one and see if his predictions turn out to be right again. Straight ahead, California, again, seeing the number of deaths attributed to COVID-19 getting cut. Why? We'll talk about that. And a golfer is forced to withdraw while winning a tournament worth $1.7 million. Those stories and more straight ahead on America's Voice Live.